Listen, ladies, men are simple creatures, but don't confuse simple with stupid. We don't need a 500-piece puzzle to figure out whether we're into somebody. We know pretty quick. But if you want a man to be absolutely obsessed with you, to keep you in his mind when he's driving at work, and even when the game is on, you gotta understand one thing: words are powerful. The right words hit us in the chest, get in our head, and stay there. And I'm about to break it down for you step by step. When it comes to building a deep, lasting connection with a man, one of the most powerful things you can do is start with genuine admiration. This isn't about empty flattery or rehearsed compliments that sound good but lack depth. Men can tell when you're just saying something for effect, and while that might give them a quick ego boost, it won't leave a mark on their heart. Genuine admiration means you are speaking from a place of truth, from a place where you've observed something about him that is uniquely his, and you express it in a way that makes him feel truly seen. Men, at their core, have a natural drive to be a protector, a provider, a leader in some way, not necessarily in a traditional or outdated sense, but in the way they show up for the people they care about. When you recognize and verbalize that, you're not just appealing to his pride, you're touching the part of him that wants to feel purposeful and significant in your life. It's one thing to tell a man he's handsome or that you like his shirt. Those are surface-level compliments. They're nice, but they don't sink deep. It's another thing entirely to look at him and say, "I feel safe when you're around." Or, "When you're here, everything feels more at ease." Those words go straight to his soul because they tell him his presence, not just his looks, not just his actions, changes the atmosphere for you. The reason this works so powerfully is that it speaks to identity, not just ability. You're telling him he's not just appreciated for what he does, but valued for who he is. In relationships, that kind of validation creates emotional glue. A man who feels like you see the best in him will naturally want to live up to that vision you have of him. He will carry himself differently, not because you're forcing him to change, but because your words have inspired him to keep being the version of himself that you admire. But genuine admiration has to be specific and truthful to have real impact. If you simply say, "You're amazing," without giving any reason, it doesn't land with the same weight. Instead, tie your admiration to something you've noticed that reveals his character, his values, or his way of making you feel. For example, if he stays calm during stressful situations, instead of vaguely complimenting him, you could say, "The way you stay collected even when everything's going crazy really inspires me. You make me feel like we can get through anything together." That statement acknowledges his inner strength, makes it personal to your relationship, and tells him you value the stability he brings. When you admire a man in this way, you're also building trust. He knows you're not just speaking to please him. You're paying attention, you're present, and you appreciate the qualities that make him unique. Over time, this creates a powerful feedback loop. The more you admire and recognize his authentic self, the more he will show that side to you, and the stronger your bond becomes. An excellent example of this could be a couple who have been together for a few months. Let's say they're at a dinner party and something minor but awkward happens. Maybe the host accidentally spills a drink on him. Instead of reacting with frustration or embarrassment, he laughs it off, makes a lighthearted joke to put the host at ease, and continues enjoying the night. Later, when they're alone, she turns to him and says, "I love how you handle situations like that. You have this way of making everyone around you feel comfortable, even when things go wrong. It makes me feel so proud to be with you." That's genuine admiration in action. It's rooted in a real observation. It's tied to who he is as a person, and it highlights the impact his presence has on her. That one comment will stick in his mind long after the dinner party is over. Every time he faces an awkward or tense situation, he'll remember that she saw him as someone who brings calm and comfort, and because he values her opinion, he'll want to keep embodying that quality, not because she asked him to, but because her words made him feel valued and admired. Ultimately, starting with genuine admiration is about more than just making someone obsessed with you. It's about creating a space where a man feels safe to show you the best parts of himself, knowing they will be noticed and appreciated. It's about building a connection that's based on more than attraction, a connection that makes him feel like he's not just wanted, but deeply valued. And when a man feels that, you're not just on his mind, you're in his heart. One of the deepest emotional needs a man has in a relationship is the desire to be believed in. This goes beyond support, encouragement, or even love. When you show a man that you truly believe in him, you tap into a part of his identity that drives his ambition, his choices, and his sense of worth. Belief is powerful because it tells him you not only see who he is right now, but you also see who he can become, and you trust that he has the strength to get there. Many men carry silent battles inside, doubts they rarely voice, and fears they often mask with confidence or humor. When the woman he cares about looks him in the eye and says, "I know you can do this," she is giving him a type of fuel no one else can provide. This kind of belief isn't blind faith. It's grounded in genuine observation of his strengths and resilience. It's different from generic cheerleading. Generic praise sounds like, "You've got this," which is nice, but it's surface level. Belief that sticks is personal and backed up by evidence. Saying, "I've seen you handle tougher situations than this, so I have no doubt you'll figure it out," reminds him that his past actions already prove his capability. You're not just telling him he can, you're reminding him he already has. That's a whole different level of impact. Belief is addictive because it speaks directly to a man's self-image. If the people in his life doubt him or put limitations on what he can achieve, that voice of doubt can start to echo in his mind. But when you counter that with confidence in him, you don't just silence the doubts. You become the voice that drives him forward. He'll think of you when he's working late, when he's facing a setback, or when he's about to take a big step. Your belief becomes part of his mental narrative, shaping the way he approaches challenges. There's also a powerful emotional connection created when you show belief in him during uncertain times. Anyone can support someone when success is obvious. But if you believe in him when the odds are unclear or when he's feeling the weight of a struggle, you show him that your trust is unconditional. That's when belief turns into a bond. It tells him, even if you stumble, I'm still in your corner because I know who you are at your core. That's the kind of loyalty and faith that a man doesn't forget. It's also worth noting that belief doesn't mean taking over his problems or solving them for him. In fact, trying to fix things for him can unintentionally communicate that you don't think he can handle it himself. Real belief is about standing beside him, not in front of him, and letting him lead the charge while you fuel his confidence from the sidelines. It's giving him space to act while making sure he knows you see him as capable. An excellent example of this is a man who has just been offered the opportunity to start his own business. It's a big leap, risky, and not everyone in his life is supportive. His friends think it's too dangerous, his family is worried, and even he has moments of doubt. One night, he's sitting at the kitchen table with his partner, looking over numbers and shaking his head. "Maybe I'm crazy to think I can pull this off," he says. Instead of telling him not to worry or changing the subject, she leans in and says, "I don't think you're crazy. I think you're the guy who rebuilt his career from scratch after losing his job. I think you're the guy who never quits until he figures things out. I know you can make this happen because I've seen you push through harder things than this." Those words land because they're rooted in truth. She didn't just say she believed in him, she backed it up with specific memories that proved why her belief was well placed. Now, even when he's alone and doubt creeps in, he'll remember her voice reminding him of who he is. That belief will push him to keep going long after his own motivation starts to waver. When a man feels that kind of belief from a woman he cares about, it changes how he sees her too. She becomes the person he wants to share his wins with, the one whose opinion matters most, and the one whose faith he never wants to disappoint. That's why belief is more than encouragement. It's a powerful emotional investment that makes you unforgettable in his life. Appreciating the little things out loud is one of the simplest yet most powerful ways to strengthen a relationship. It's not about grand gestures, expensive gifts, or elaborate surprises. It's about recognizing the everyday moments where someone shows they care and making sure they know you see it. Many men aren't wired to express their emotions verbally in the same way women might, but they often communicate love and commitment through actions. That might be fixing something around the house without being asked, carrying the heavy groceries in, or sending you a quick message in the middle of a busy workday just to check on you. These may seem small, but they are deposits into the emotional bank account of your relationship. When you take the time to acknowledge those deposits, you make him feel seen, valued, and appreciated, and that inspires him to keep making them. What often happens in relationships is that small acts go unnoticed because they become routine. When someone consistently does nice things, it's easy to assume they know you're grateful or to think, well, that's just what they do. But no matter how long you've been together, every act of kindness carries more meaning when it's recognized. Men notice when you notice. They might not say it out loud, but when you express appreciation, it reinforces the behavior and strengthens the bond between you. It's positive reinforcement, yes, but it's also emotional intimacy. It's telling him, I don't take you for granted. The key here is to be specific when you give appreciation. A vague thanks is nice, but it doesn't create the same impact as a detailed acknowledgement. Instead of just saying, thanks for bringing in the groceries, you could say, I love how you always grab the heavy bags without me even asking. It makes me feel so taken care of. Now, instead of hearing a polite acknowledgement, he's hearing that his effort has an emotional effect on you, and that's powerful. Appreciating the little things also builds an environment where both people feel more inclined to give. Relationships often soar when one or both people feel unrecognized. But when gratitude is expressed regularly, even for the smallest actions, it creates a feedback loop of generosity. He helps because he wants to, you appreciate it, and that appreciation makes him want to help more. It's a quiet but strong motivator, and the truth is, expressing appreciation out loud also helps you. When you train yourself to notice and verbalize the good, you focus less on what's missing and more on what's working. This shift in perspective makes you more affectionate and less likely to dwell on petty irritations. Over time, this builds a healthier, happier dynamic. An excellent example of this is a couple who have been living together for a while. Every morning before work, the man makes coffee for both of them. It's such a regular part of their routine that it's almost invisible. One morning, instead of just grabbing her mug and going about her day, she stops and says, you know, I really love that you make coffee for us every morning. It's not just about the coffee. It's the fact that you think about me before you've even had your own cup. That's the sweetest way to start the day. For him, that comment hits home. He wasn't making coffee for recognition, but now he realizes she sees and values the small care he puts into their mornings. That moment of appreciation turns an everyday habit into a shared connection point. From then on, making coffee isn't just a chore for him. It's a ritual that carries emotional meaning. And the next time he does something small, whether it's filling her gas tank, texting her during lunch, or remembering to buy her favorite snack, he'll be more likely to keep doing it because he knows those little acts are part of what makes her feel loved. Appreciating the little things out loud doesn't require big speeches or dramatic gestures. It's about being present enough to notice the small acts of care and being thoughtful enough to voice your gratitude. Those words may take seconds to say, but the way they make someone feel can last for years. In a world where so many people feel unseen, making your partner feel noticed for even the smallest kindness is one of the most powerful gifts you can give. Over time, those little acknowledgments weave together into a fabric of trust, affection, and connection that makes your relationship feel stronger and more alive. Creating a signature phrase that's just yours is like planting a little flag in his mind that says, "This belongs to us." It's more than just a nickname or a casual term of endearment. It's a personalized verbal brand for your relationship. The human brain is wired to associate words with emotions, and when you consistently use a special phrase in the right context, it builds a mental link between those words and the feelings you give him. Over time, that phrase becomes a trigger. The moment he hears it, even if it's weeks or months later, It will pull up memories, emotions, and moments that are connected only to you. The beauty of a signature phrase is that it makes your connection feel unique and exclusive. In a world where people toss around babe and honey to anyone they date, a one-of-a-kind phrase stands out. It tells him you've put thought into the way you speak to him and that there's something about your bond that's different from every other relationship he's experienced. The exclusivity of it is part of what makes it addictive. It's yours and is alone, a private language that strengthens your intimacy. The trick is to make sure the phrase is genuine, playful, and fitting for your dynamic. It shouldn't feel forced, like you're trying to come up with something cute just for the sake of it. It works best when it grows out of your shared experiences, inside jokes, or the qualities you most love about him. Maybe it's something you teased him about the first time you met, or a line from a movie you both love, or even a compliment you gave him once that made him grin so hard you decided to repeat it. The key is that it has to mean something specific to the two of you. Consistency is also important. If you use the phrase at random or give it to other people, it loses its magic. But if you say it at moments of affection, laughter, or closeness, it starts to become an emotional anchor. His mind will associate your tone, your smile, and the way you make him feel with those exact words. And that's where the real power comes in. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it and when. One reason this works so well is because it subtly builds a sense of belonging. A signature phrase is like an emotional fingerprint. It makes him feel like he's part of something private and irreplaceable. It's a little reminder that no matter what's happening in the outside world, there's a space between the two of you that no one else gets to enter. And for a man, knowing that you have a special way of addressing him that you don't share with anyone else creates a sense of pride and connection. An excellent example of this would be a couple who met under unusual circumstances. Let's say they first crossed paths during a rainstorm when she jokingly called him her knight in shining wet armor because he offered her his umbrella. The joke stuck, and over time she shortened it to just my knight. She never used that with anyone else, and she'd drop it into conversations in moments that mattered, when he helped her through a rough day, when he surprised her with a thoughtful gesture, or even in a playful text. The first time she sent him, "Good night, my knight," he couldn't stop smiling. Months later, even if they were apart, just seeing or hearing that phrase would instantly bring back not only the memory of how they met, but the feeling of being her protector, her chosen person. That's the magic of a signature phrase. It's not about fancy wording. It's about creating a consistent emotional association that's deeply personal. Every time you use it, you're reinforcing your bond and making your presence linger in his mind. And the best part, it's effortless once it's established. One simple phrase can make him feel valued, desired, and uniquely connected to you without you having to say a whole speech. Over time, that phrase becomes a kind of shorthand for love, respect, and shared history. It works quietly in the background of your relationship, building familiarity and warmth. And years from now, even if he hears it unexpectedly, he'll think of you because you've turned a few simple words into an unforgettable part of his story. Making a man feel irreplaceable is one of the most powerful ways to deepen his emotional attachment to you. At the core of this idea is the simple truth that everyone wants to feel unique, valued, and impossible to replace. Men, just like women, crave the assurance that they are not simply one of many, but that they hold a position in your life no one else could fill. It's about creating a sense that his presence, personality, and the way he makes you feel are unlike anything you could experience with another person. When you make him feel this way, it doesn't just flatter his ego. It speaks to his identity and his place in your world. The key here is specificity. Telling a man, "You're special," is nice, but it's too general to truly land with impact. To make him feel irreplaceable, you have to identify the things that are distinctly him, the qualities, habits, or moments that make your connection unique. Maybe it's his sense of humor, the way he thinks about problems, the way he calms you down, or even the way he looks at you when you're talking. By pointing out those specifics, you make it clear that these aren't just generic traits any man could offer. They are his traits, and they're tied to your emotional experiences with him. When you express this kind of appreciation, you also subtly send the message that your bond isn't based on something superficial or replaceable. Looks fade, material possessions can change, but the way someone makes you feel on a soul, deep level is one of a kind. A man who believes you see him this way feels secure in your connection. That security is not complacency. It actually inspires him to keep showing up as the man you value so much because he knows you recognize and appreciate it. Another reason this works is that men, even confident ones, often carry private doubts about how they measure up. Society pressures them to be strong, capable, and competitive, and they may compare themselves to others more than they admit. When you tell a man something like, "No one else understands me the way you do," you're giving him something that cuts through all that comparison. You're telling him he's already won in the most important arena, your heart and mind. It's also worth noting that making someone feel irreplaceable isn't about dependency or saying you couldn't live without them. It's about showing them that you don't want to, because what they bring into your life is not something you could find anywhere else. It's not neediness, it's recognition. It's saying, "I choose you over and over because no one else could give me what you do." An excellent example of this could be a couple who have been together for a couple of years. One day they're out with friends, and someone tells a funny story that gets everyone laughing. Later that night, she says to him, "You know, I laugh with a lot of people, but when it's you, it's different. You don't just make me laugh. You make me feel light and free, like nothing else matters. Nobody else does that for me." That moment is powerful because it's specific, genuine, and tied to an emotional experience that's uniquely theirs. She's not just saying he's funny. She's saying the way he makes her laugh affects her at a deeper level. For him, that statement becomes a mental anchor. The next time they share a laugh, he'll remember that she said, "He's the only one who makes her feel that way." That association will make him feel more connected to her and more committed to nurturing those moments. Over time, enough of those affirmations build a strong emotional foundation that's hard to shake, even during challenges. Making a man feel irreplaceable is about consistently reinforcing the idea that he holds a place in your life no one else could take. It's about recognizing not just what he does for you, but how he, as a person, changes your life for the better. When you communicate this in specific, heartfelt ways, you're not just giving him a compliment, you're giving him a reason to keep choosing you, because he knows in his heart that he's not just a man in your life, he's the man in your life. And that's a feeling he won't ever want to lose. Mixing sweet with a little challenge is an art that keeps a relationship exciting and keeps a man's interest fully engaged. While steady affection and appreciation are essential, if you only offer constant praise and sweetness without any playful tension, it can start to feel predictable. Predictability in affection can lead to comfort, but it can also dull the spark over time. Adding a gentle challenge into the mix creates a dynamic where he feels both valued and intrigued. And intrigue is one of the most powerful forces in attraction. A challenge doesn't mean being difficult, negative, or manipulative. It's not about withholding affection or playing games to make him feel insecure. It's about teasing in a way that is lighthearted, flirtatious, and fun, the kind of playful pushback that makes him want to rise to the occasion. When you mix sweetness with a bit of challenge, you keep him on his toes and engaged in the chase, even after you're already together. Men by nature enjoy a sense of pursuit. They like to feel that they're still winning you over. Not that everything is guaranteed and they no longer need to put in effort. The sweet part ensures that the relationship feels warm, supportive, and safe. The challenge part ensures it never becomes stale. For example, if he does something sweet, you might respond with genuine appreciation followed by a playful remark. Instead of just saying, "That's so thoughtful of you," you could say, "That's so thoughtful of you. Careful. Keep this up and I might just start thinking you're trying to spoil me for life." That little twist turns a compliment into a flirtatious exchange, inviting him to keep engaging with you in the same energy. The psychology behind this is rooted in the fact that humans are wired to value what they have to invest in. When a man feels like your affection is both rewarding and just a touch challenging to earn, he sees it as more precious. Too much sweetness with no balance can make him take it for granted. Too much challenge without sweetness can make him feel unappreciated. The magic is in blending both so he feels secure in your care, but still motivated to impress you. It's also a way to keep the banter alive. Banter builds emotional chemistry because it involves quick thinking, laughter, and a playful energy that keeps interactions memorable. When you give him that little challenge, like pretending to warn him about falling for him more if he keeps doing something right, you're creating moments that stand out in his memory. It's not just nice to be around you, it's fun, and fun is addictive. Another layer to this is that a gentle challenge signals confidence. It shows him that you enjoy his company and appreciate what he does for you, but you're also secure enough to keep things lively. Men find that balance incredibly attractive because it means you're not overly dependent on constant validation from him. Instead, you're an active player in the dynamic, adding your own spice to the mix. An excellent example of this could be a couple who've been dating for a while. One evening, he surprises her by cooking dinner after a long day. She takes a bite, smiles, and says sincerely, "This is amazing. You might have just outdone yourself." Then, with a playful grin, she adds, "But don't think I'm letting you off the hook for dessert. You've set the bar too high now." That moment combines appreciation, sweet, with a teasing expectation challenge. It makes him feel proud of what he did, but it also keeps him engaged in the game of pleasing her. That kind of interaction is memorable because it's layered. He's not just walking away thinking, "She liked dinner." He's walking away thinking, "She had fun, she enjoyed it, and now I want to top myself next time." The mix of reward and playful push inspires him to keep investing effort and creativity into the relationship. Over time, mixing sweetness with a little challenge prevents the relationship from falling into a flat routine. It keeps conversations, dates, and daily interactions fresh because there's always a spark of unpredictability. He never quite knows when you'll drop a playful remark, but he knows that when you do, it will make him smile, laugh, and feel more connected to you. This blend of warmth and intrigue is what keeps him not just happy, but actively drawn toward you day after day. Ladies, the magic isn't in just one sentence. It's in saying it with truth, timing, and that sparkle in your eye that says you mean every word. Men don't obsess over just looks or style. They obsess over how you make them feel. You feed a man's soul, you inspire his hustle, you appreciate the small stuff, and you speak life into him. He will move mountains for you. So remember, speak to his heart, not just his ears, and watch how fast he starts thinking about you morning, noon, and night.